Back on. Back on. My computer just rebooted. I'm pulling up a few things, getting my environment back to how I like it. Pretty soon, I'm going to make another attempt to get this leap motion going. And I'm kind of excited about that. It started to work. I saw a 3D animated hand corresponding to the same movements of my hand. And I was pretty stoked to see that. That was neat. I did like that. So, I did 2 of the 3 things that they asked. Actually, I did 3 of the 3 things they asked. So I restarted this baby. That was a last resort, but I've done it. So let's start the leap motion software. Okay. And let me just open this thing up a second time. It's really strange that it yeah. So sometimes when I start this leap motion thing, it brings up a little message saying that it has installed software, which I don't like. I mean, yeah, it was already installed. I'm bringing up this app here and I want to launch something else, not install anything. And the second time I do it, it doesn't show anything at all. It's quiet. But in the past, I've been able to get to a control panel. Okay, now there's this thing up here. I can look at that. So settings. Okay. Troubleshooting. Now I've got diagnostics, so it's connected. What the heck? Let's start with the easiest thing. The easiest thing I would think. Okay, it's connected. All right, I put my hand above the leap motion. It detected my hand. Okay, it's passing all the tests. To wave my hand. Okay, it found my hand. Okay, that's all done. Alright, so it looks like it's working. Let's open up their stupid little app home thing. Everybody needs their own portal. Let's try the playground. I just want to see it working. Okay, there's my hand, my hand, my hand, and my other hand. Okay, interesting. So, you can't see my actual hands. Well, actually, if I go up, I go over, huh, maybe you can. If I orient this just right, you may be able to see all the hands together. No. So okay, so there's a certain range within which your hands must be. Not surprising, in order for the leap motion to detect them and do things with them. But the movements you see on the screen are what my hands are doing for the most part. Occasionally it gets a little bit wrong. That's why I wanted to see if I could get both things on the screen at once. Now I'm like moving the device a little bit to see if I can accomplish that. It is pretty good about, it doesn't really matter where you've got the device at, just sort of handling it and figuring out where your hands are, even though the device position changes. So it's very robust as far as that goes. So I'll like do some things like, so there's this little USB cord is a little bit short, but this is what the device looks like. It's really tiny. Actually, I can't really show it to you without unplugging it. But it's really small. So now I've got the device back down underneath. And okay, so for a little bit, it wasn't doing anything, and then it it got confused basically. I moved it around and got confused for a little bit, and then it regained its senses, and now it's acting like normal. That's my theory anyways. That's my theory about what happened. Make fists. Now fists seem to be a little bit tricky for it to figure out. I can understand why, because you think how ambiguous the shape of your hand is when it's a fist. In reality, I have both of my fists with palm down. It's detecting my right hand as palm up. So I'm going to turn my fist, and it kind of like keeps that palm up position either way. So now my palm actually is up. I'll turn it the other way. This time it figured out that my palm was down. So I was doing stuff like this. Oh, and this time it is, you can see for once my hand in the leap motion at the same time. Okay. So I don't know, it's pretty good. And then like the delay between, that's one thing for me to think about. There is an actual delay between the motion and when I actually make the motion. It's not significant. I'd say it's like maybe 100 milliseconds. You can see it, but kind of just barely. It might be like 50 milliseconds. So actually I don't think that's that big of a deal. It's just that I'll have the audio recording of the actor. I'll have the audio recording of the actor. See, I can do hand gestures while I'm talking. I'll have the audio recording of the actor, and it will not initially be in sync with the recording of... Boy, it's really distracting to talk when you have this 3D imagery in front of you. It will not initially be synced up. But all I have to do, I surmise, is change the offset. So as long as the latency is consistent in the recording, across the recording of the visual motions of the hand, I should be able to just sync it up to the audio without much trouble. Now if I have to hand edit that, that's going to be like a non-starter for me. I'm just not going to do hours and hours and hours of editing the hand motions. Okay. Press any key to continue. Can I do other things in the playground? Ooh, things to interact with. I don't know that I'm doing a great job of interacting. But one thing is there's no haptic feedback. So when I pick up one of these cubes, unlike in real life, I can't feel anything as my hands go into it. So it's a little bit harder than picking up something in real life. I imagine there's haptic devices that would make it simpler. So I have to kind of visually look at the screen while I'm putting my finger on this guy, pull it up. See, it's not bad. It's not bad. Now I wonder if I can flick it. Ah, it's like it's stuck on my finger right there. Yep, I can flick it. That's cool. Flick it. Flick it. Flick it. Flick it. Flick it. Flick it. Oh, look at that. This truly is a playground. Oh, that's cool. Okay, I gotta admit that is kind of neat. I'm like already forgiving a lot of the irritating setup things that happened. Well, I'm assuming that I was supposed to do that. That was the intent of the people who made this demo, that I would put heads in all the robots. It's getting a little bit hard because the earlier robots are cluttering things up. But let's just kind of just drop that on. Just now, you guys get out of the way. You're not part of the plan. Oh, now I feel bad. I feel bad. I lost the head on one. Okay. If you try to do this in a hurry with impatience, it doesn't work so well. And I have abused my little visitors here. Or actually, I'm probably the visitor. This looks like where they live. Oh man, I really hope I didn't hurt that guy. I didn't mean to. I'm sorry, I've been bad. Oh, there's one. Okay. No, I love you guys. I'm gonna pet you a little bit. Just a little bit. I'm doing it softly. I'm gonna pet you over out of my way. Let me just have, oh, I can use my other hand too, right? Yeah. Okay. So okay. Come on. Almost got you. Almost got you. There we go. Now it's a party. Oh, no, I was just dancing a little bit. It's a small room. It's a small room. I'm sorry. Okay, that's enough of that. Can we go on? Yes, we can. Alright. Now what we got? Let me see, is it like frolicking in the water? Frolicking in the water. Frolic. Oh, pluck a petal, it says. Alright. You know what? This is cool, but I'm not here to play games. I'm here to make games. And although the playground is enchanting, I have fulfilled the goal of simply determining that the device works and that it has capabilities of tracking movement that are consistent with the requirements I have. So I feel that this device is able to create the data which I want to use for my game, which is tracking movements of hands. So let's get moving. This is not playground time. Come on, where's my Chrome? Okay, Chrome. There you are. Okay. Now the next thing. Oh, the SDK. I already downloaded that. Okay. So SDK. Developer kit. I think this is Orion. This is the beta. Okay, that is for Windows. It's got an exe. I can't use that. Okay. So that's fine. I did read something too where like the hand recording feature wasn't present in Orion. So I have an interest in the older versions anyways, because I know that the older versions are going to allow me I think they will allow me to record motions. I think they have that built into their SDK. Okay, desktop. Get started, but I already am started. I want to continue. Okay. I have the V2 software for Windows, Mac, or Linux. I have that. The SDK is what I want. Apparently I don't want the most recent version. See, they're always offering for me to get started, and I have already started. I just want to continue with my journey. So that download Orion beta is Windows only, I guess. I mean, if it's not, like, I must chastise someone, because that entry point of opening up the archive and seeing an exe there and You know, before I say that, before I be a complete idiot, let me just double check that one more time. Leap motion SDK. Yeah. See. Okay. So there's a README here. I can read a README. And I'm just going to keyword search for Mac. No, not that way. Download, boom. README text. Open with text edit. I'm not going to scan through the whole thing because I just want to know, do you have anything about Mac in here? No, you have nothing about Mac there. Alright, so from that I conclude this is not for Mac. I'm not going to get angry about it. I don't have to get angry about every mistake people make. Developer archive. I don't want 4.0. Oh, I just tried that. It does not have Mac. Wait a minute. Was that 4? Yeah, let's get started. Okay, it was... Maybe I do want 4. So what was the version for Orion? No, Orion's 4. Orion is already 4. So I want something earlier than 4. Oh, it does say Orion too. Okay, core assets 440. Okay, well that's, at least the numbers are getting smaller. I still don't know like which of these I should just get. Okay, does this include... Yeah, I'm going to do another thing where I just search for Mac. Do they not have an SDK for the Mac? Oh, that's terrifying. Oh no, here it says, to build with Mac Linux, you'll need the V2 desktop SDK. Okay, let's go there. Okay, now I'm getting somewhere. I feel like this is going to work out. Standard tracking. Oh. Okay. Let's download that one. Just downloading. Okay, I'm also running Unity, so I'm interested in Unity stuff that's compatible with V2. Leap motion core assets. That sounds good. So let's just download this. Download the whole repo. So I'm thinking about this whole recording the actor type thing with the leap motion. I think I would need to get this all working on a laptop And because of the proprietary connector on this guy, I say proprietary, but it's just I've never seen a connector that looks like this before. And okay, so because of that cable being proprietary, I can't just get another USB cable that's longer to plug in. I would have to use this tiny short cable. That laptop needs to be close to the microphone. I think it's all doable, but there are some limitations though to how I can set up this thing, because the tiny proprietary cable is 2 feet long. I've already established that it doesn't like to be plugged into a USB port. You know, I could probably find some type of USB extension that would work, but it might be a little bit trial and error, since I already have a USB 3 hub here, and it really disliked being plugged into the USB 3 hub. So it could be one of those deals where I buy a number of extenders and they just all fail, which is not fun. So probably it's going to be a laptop, just arranged very closely to the recording setup, which has its own challenges. All right. So what do we got here? I'm just going to delete the Orion because it's not useful to me. 231 SD. Yeah, okay. Let's try that. Start with the SDK there. Okay. So then I'll read the README. Package contents. Some software installer. Installs drivers and service daemon software. That I already got. In fact, I'm reluctant to install that again. And then there's the SDK. It contains the header files and code libraries for creating natively motion-controlled applications. So I'm just that's this other directory here, I believe. And I'm going to check that out before I just run this installer above here, because I think that would be a redundant installation on what I already have. And if I've got it working, why mess with it, you know? So what does it got here? Yeah, I don't really want the raw source code for this. So it's giving me some C code. I do see compiled DLLs. I see a jar file. I see dynamic lib files. Python. There's a directory called Unity Assets. Some plugins. So I could just try this. There's this Leap C# bundle. I could just try copying that over. The DLL I don't think will work, unless there's some magical way that .NET figured out how to get DLLs to work on Mac. I don't know. Pretty sure that won't work. This is not like real easy to get going. Been messing with it for about an hour. The core assets. Let's take a look at that. So these are supposedly just Unity assets. Okay. Okay, it's got a little markdown file. They're just some very sparse release note type things. They look like automatically generated. Okay, assets. Okay, I like this. I like assets. Because assets, I know I could potentially just copy them over to the Unity assets directory, and they might do something. Leap motion. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff here. A whole bunch. Project settings. Okay. So let me try this. Let me copy this assets directory. And then I'm going to go over to my project. I'm going to paste it here. And I'm going to rename it to Leap Motion Assets. Then just going to copy that whole thing into the assets directory of my project. Now I feel like I'm getting a little bit risky. So before I do that, I'm going to basically make a backup of my project. So to do that, I just do that all in Git. I do okay. Add assets. It's good to save these anyways. So the idea of committing things in Git is that it's going to take a snapshot of the current versions of all the files that are there. If I want to, I can go back in time. I can just revert to this commit if these files I'm going to copy over mess something up. So I'll make two notes here. All the blocks levels. I first made right before leap motion asset dump. Okay, so that should protect me more or less. Alright, and this might be dangerous, but I'm just going to paste them all in. Okay, then start up Unity, open my project, and see what things I can and can't do. You know what would have made more sense is to start a brand new project and put those assets in there. But I got my little Git snapshot. I can go back if I have to. So waiting for Unity to load a few things. It's importing those assets that I just put there. That's kind of cool. Compiling scripts. It does not show me any errors yet. That's another thing that I like. I do kind of wonder if I skipped a step, if I needed to okay. Yeah, I do kind of wonder if I needed to install something else from that second SDK download, but when I looked at it, I only saw a few things. I saw some C source files, which I don't know, maybe I was supposed to compile them and build a library or something like that. Then I saw some libraries that might have been necessary to install. I'll find out. I think I'll find out pretty quick. I was also reluctant to run the main installer that was in that directory because I thought it would be redundant with my first installation of drivers, and I thought I just proved that that works. I don't want to mess it up. Or at least I can wait until I actually need to install that before trying it. Or before I can wait for this thing that I'm trying right now to fail before I install anything else. And it's not my goal to install as many pieces of crap that a third party sends my way. I've already put more on the computer than I wanted to, I'm sure of that. I'm not happy about having the friggin' app home living on my computer. The privacy settings that I had to uncheck from the defaults weren't great, so I really just want the bare minimum Leap stuff on here, or at least what I can get away with without having a lot of knowledge about what's essential and what's not. So I don't want to just keep on installing every single thing. Oh. So there's a high CPU time right there that probably messed with the broadcast briefly. Okay, so my regular project is open, and I know that there's going to be some more stuff in here in my assets directory. I'm curious if I can open any of it. If there's any demo apps that will just run right away, that would be magical. Okay, so what do we got? Demo resources, maybe. Got some readmes. Leap Motion Core assets. These assets go along with our V2 skeletal tracking. There are multiple customizable hands, good physical rigid hands, some useful gestures that interact with the physics engine like magnetic pinching. There are also prefabs and examples to support Oculus VR head-mounted display applications. I don't need the Oculus stuff. Before you begin, you first need Leap Motion Skeletal V2 Track installed from. That might be what I installed previously. You can make the simplest hello hand scene by dropping the hand controller prefab in front of and below the camera. The hand controller prefab is a virtual Leap motion controller. Okay, I like that. I like that a lot. But they have some scenes too. So let me try. Let me try one of the scenes that's already here. Okay. So there's the camera. Oh, by the way, what does my console look like? Okay, so it's a little bit noisy. There are some complaints about things that aren't working. I assume that had to do with the Unity upgrade of the source code in the assets directory, because the source code was out of date. So many messages saying you're trying to replace or create a prefab from the instance of something that references a missing script. This is not allowed. Please change the script or remove it from the game object. Okay. So it will not be surprising if many things don't work. My hope is that the basics will work, particularly the hand controller. If I can get the hand controller to work, I don't need much razzle dazzle after that. So let me just hit play on this scene. It probably won't do anything. Okay. Oh, look at that. Oh, These are my hand movements. Oh, I got it working in Unity. And I'm just really hitting like the hour 15 mark, so I'm feeling like I'm not doing bad. Now, can I do two hands, or is it just going to be one? I admit it's a little bit glitchy. Okay, there's two hands. It seems to be kind of a CPU affected thing. No, this is comparable. This is comparable to what I was seeing before in the other demo. So, cool. I have some different hand models to choose from. This is a very minimalistic one. One that doesn't work. I told you, not everything is going to work. Another one that doesn't work. I'm going left, 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 left. It's not changing that. Okay, let's go right then. Did I crash it? Okay, there's left, right. Another one. Very techy. Maybe they have one that looks very human. That would be cool. These are all very abstract. Because even though I really like the hand models that I picked earlier, if there's one just already made that looks right and is already compatible with the hand controller, I'll use that. I don't need to slow myself down. Some of these are kind of cool looking. I did want something that looked like human hands though. So when I hit left and right, sometimes I just come to a blankness. Can I go past it? No. So there's like 4 or 5 blank spots, and then it cycles around. It's like when you got cable and you're scrolling through the channels, and there's a bunch that are static or blocked, and you skip past them and you scroll back around to the other side. Okay. So cool. Very cool that it works. None of these out-of-the-box hand models are what I want my God hands to look like. Huh. But now I'm kind of like thinking about this. Is that true? Do I want a kind of techie hand? So one of the things I don't care for with these hands is the reticulation in the design. So if I look at this and say, well, okay, you've got the model, you could just update the model to be something else. Well, the reticulation makes me think it won't be that easy. I really just want a smooth, continuous hand. And I'd like the mesh of the hand to be continuous and form around the vertexes, I guess, or the points that are tracked. So I'm sure there's a way to do it. There might even be something on the asset store that like works with it out of the box. That would be cool. The tracking's nice. The tracking will, I think it'll get the job done. So one thing is like, okay, let me move this over a little bit. So let me see if I can go for a length of time without losing the tracking. That would be a good test. Because what I'll have to do is have the voice actor make motions with the hand and be somewhat reliable. It's got to go for a little bit of time. So I'm just going to read like the line on the bottom of the screen, and I'll do hand motions along with it and see how well I do, if the screen looks messed up or not. Like, I don't want the hand to disappear in the middle, or I don't want something weird to happen where, like, see, the hand on the left right now isn't tracking right. So I don't want glitches like that. So is it possible? Press the left or right arrow to browse hand models. So, okay, let me try again. Press the left. Huh. Yeah, it had a little bit of delay in the before it recognized I was pointing. Press the left or the right arrow to browse hand models. Lost my right hand. Press the left or the right arrow to browse, it doesn't like that. Okay. To browse. Okay. So if I've got the actor in the studio, I'm going to have to do something that like trains that actor to stay within the range of motion. Earlier I was drawing little sketches of some type of almost like a limbo wire that goes over the top of their hands, and that was before I even like tried this, but it seems like I was right. Like it might actually make sense to create some kind of like bounding physical thing that they would put their hands inside of. Like this all could be inside of something just a little bit larger than a shoebox, and their hands are inside of that shoebox, and they have to stay inside of the box with their hands, and then they'd be okay. That's my thought. And there would be retakes on the lines, on the audio lines, when their hands didn't look right, and that would suck. So normally with VO work, if there's like a line that's maybe a little bit tricky, you might do like 5 retakes on it, or if it's kind of bad, you might do, or like a really hard line, you might do 20-30 retakes. Okay, so every time you do a retake, it's because there was maybe a 72% chance that the actor was going to mess up the line. So with adding the hand motion to it, that would up that percentage. It might be something like 80-90% chance the actor messes up the line. And since I want the audio to be synced to the hand motions, that means that if either of the things is wrong, the audio, the actor's performance, their delivery, or the tracking on the hand motions is wrong, like they were doing wonderful gestures, but they moved out of range or something, and suddenly the hand wasn't there. If either of those things is wrong, then I gotta do another take. And I mean on the same take, because I can't do like independent recording of the hands and then have it match up to the audio. It'll just be too much work to adjust either the audio or the animated points to match up. So I'm anticipating that these lines will be a pain in the ass to record, but the end result could be very cool. So that's making me happy. Let me see if I can create. Oh, you know what? I remember the Alamo. I remember that there was a record and play scene. That's right. This is the shit right here. This is what I want. I'm pretty sure. Okay. So let me play this one. Now I'm getting excited. Now I'm not moving my hand there. I think it's playing something pre-recorded. So I'll hit stop. Okay. And then I'm gonna record. The rain in Spain falls mainly on the plain. Very messed up recording. But it did capture it. It saved it to a file. It gave me the full path to it. I'm going to go check out that file right now. To me, that seems like a very interesting file to look at. So let's go to Now I think the extension of that file is bytes. That's not promising as far as like being able to open it up and see something that is human readable. What was it? User E. Hermanson. Library. Application support. Default company. Somebody got lazy. Default company. That's not right. I think it might be easier to do this from the command line. Okay. Default company. Come on, you couldn't do leap? Okay. Yeah, that's a weird file name. Do I have any like hex editors installed? Alright, let's do it the crazy way first. Just cat it. Just output everything. Yeah, it's not anything that I'll be able to look at and see anything interesting about. Okay, but that's okay if I just have a way to play it back and I can see what do you think you're importing? What do you think you're importing? I went back to Unity and then it started importing assets. And I'm like, why? You just finished doing that. I didn't copy anything into the assets directory. It seems like the scene messed up there. Let me just try replaying that again. Because okay, so let's stop. Let's begin recording. Okay, I got two hands. Here's my left hand. Here's my right hand. Palms up, palms down, fists. Point. I'm going to point. I want to point. I want to point. 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 There. That's kind of a weird point. Okay, left point. All right. Okay, so in the recording, that is the recording that I just made. So I'm almost home free here as far as like this being a valid proof of concept for what I want to do. I'm able to record motions. It's probably going to require about 3 times as many retakes when doing it with an actor. It's probably going to require some kind of box or physical thing that kind of restrains their hands within the field of motion. Or maybe not. I mean, it wasn't too hard for me to do this. Okay. I know that the data file is not going to be hand editable. I have not yet seen any tools for editing those files. I know what I need to do next. So I need to just verify that I have access to the source code, which would allow me to play back the data. So I'm just kind of looking. Huh. probably it's... let's see. Key enable game objects. Oh, let's open that up. Okay, there's Leap Recorder. That looks promising. Okay, do I have... Yeah, okay, I got the source code. That is like the main thing. Okay, so there's the Leap Recorder. If I want to record things. Okay, there's some objects here, recorder state. I believe I've seen documentation for these objects too, on previous looking around. I would like to see the code for playing. Save the new file. Okay, here's the code which made that file. So it creates a file stream. This frame data. Oh, well, this I like here. Okay, so when it writes the frames, it writes the size. No, first it writes the number of frames. Wait a minute, what am I looking at? Okay. So each iteration processes one frame. It writes the size of that single frame. And then it writes the frame. That's pretty straightforward. So I would have to look at the format for the frame, but as long as it's not like a delta based form where like each frame depends on information from the previous, then I know I can, without trying too hard to understand the format, I can shave time off the beginning and end of it. Like if there's some junk at the beginning or end, I can shave that off. That's cool. Loading it back in, I assume it's just the same thing in reverse. So it's just loading one frame at a time. First it gets the size of the frame, which tells it okay, so yeah, it doesn't even go from a stream when it loads. It just loads the entire data into memory first, and then it processes it. That's very straightforward code. It's pretty simple. So once you have the frames added back in, where's the code that plays it? I bet that's having to do with the hand controller. Huh. No, there might be stuff here just for playing too. Let's see. Playing. Yeah, so this code is also playing, right? Okay. Sets the recorder state to playing. Okay. So record, that's the state. Recorder state equals recorder state. Okay, what the state effect? Okay, state's a public variable. So something else is going to be looking at lead recorder. I don't really know how to search in this IDE in just certain directories for keywords. That would be a nice feature. It would be helpful to me. Here, let me size that a little bit better. Input key, get key down. I'm curious if the hand controller is yeah. Okay, I was right. The hand controller is hooked up to a recorder object. Okay, cool. So when the hand starts up, it loads a recording asset. The recording asset, where does that come from? It doesn't matter. I kind of know. So, do you have playing state check? Yeah, okay. So is this called into next frame on the recorder? Now it's back in the lead recorder. So let's check out next frame. Okay. And it's deserializing inside of the next frame, which I don't think is great. I think they could have more performantly deserialized ahead of time. But it's probably fine. So, okay. So what does this say? Current frame. Deserialize. Frame index plus equals. Yeah, I feel like it's all here. So this is a nice moment for me. The thing that I hoped would be possible looks not hard to do. It looks pretty reasonable. A little bit tricky to record the hand motions with the actor. I'm not looking forward to that, but I've only got maybe 30 minutes of lines for the God character. I mean, like full, like if it was produced down and edited, it would be like 30 minutes maybe. At worst case, it's probably much less than that. So that means probably about one kind of annoying 4-hour session where myself and the actor are kind of fatigued at the end of it. And there's probably going to be a lot of that time will be fiddling around with the setup when I show up. And if I'm thinking of who I'm going to cast, I think I'd be making a trip to their house to record, and it'll be some deal where I come with my laptop and they'll either have a very cluttered desk like I do where there's no spot to put it, or there'll be some little closet recording set up with everything all set up perfect in there. It'll be hard to get it'll be some kind of crap like that to get the Leap Motion there in a spot where it'll record their hands. But it'll be okay. It won't be that hard. And the next tricky thing in this problem might be getting some hand models that I like that are also compatible. Let me look into that a little bit. So I gotta say, I like the code organization in this project. It's very easy to follow. And there's this thing where sometimes when you work at a big company and you're making software that a lot of people are going to use, you do things like in a maybe over abstracted way because you got people to impress, trying to do it right, but it ends up being a pain in the ass. So I didn't see evidence of that. So for example, where there's some code that loads in the data, it just passes not the stream, it just passes all the bytes in the array. Maybe like a programmer who was trying to like really do things in like the very nicest way might have passed in the stream and done like a chunking type read. That's harder to follow in the code than if you just have something that loads in, as you can see above, all the data into bytes. Oh, there, it's all in the byte array. Then you can go through. Yeah, so stuff like that I kind of like. So very practical kind of programming. Yeah, it's not over abstracted at all. There's not like a separate Leap player class that's used only for playing things, and then the Leap recorder is in a different place. They just put it all together in one. That's fine. It's demo code. That's fine. Sometimes when you just kind of make the simple version of some code, it's better. Alright, so the next thing I want to see is how hard would it be to modify the models that are here. Or just find one that will work out of the box. So let me just open up one and see just how complicated is this thing. Oh, I opened the wrong thing. I didn't want to go to Photoshop. I clicked on the wrong thing. Okay, prefabs. It might have been that, like, one of those. Where the hell am I? It might have been that one of the God, this is weird. First off, can I just I've never gotten into this position before where it's like the sky is in the bottom. I just like drag it around or something. Yeah, there we go. That's better. Looks like it's missing a material or something like that. Okay, are you missing material? Is that, oh, missing the mesh. All right, still I get an idea of the hierarchy that they've got set up here, and I'm guessing that they expect a certain hierarchy that corresponds to the points that the tracking brings back. Yeah, let's see if I can just get a prefab that's not messed up looking. That one is also messed up looking. Yeah, this is the thick, rigid hand, which sounds promising. Rigid, round hand. Oh, okay. Look at that. Well, there I at least can see something. This feels like a problem that somebody else probably solved. So I'll look after a little bit. But just let's see something that looks not messed up. Clean robot right hand. Alright, this one looks familiar. So I'm kind of guessing that when I was looking at that demo, that first one, that when I hit the arrow and it went off to the empty ones, that it was loading those other prefabs that I was just a moment ago looking at, where they seem to be missing parts of them. But here's one that's all put together. Again, it's reticulated, and that's not what I want. Okay. So what they've got fairly detailed game objects here, or at least for the degrees of freedom that would be present for your hand. Okay, they have some things that look specially named. I'm not sure about that. So this is probably going one of two ways for me. Either I find something pre-made that also works out of the box with leap motion and the hand controller, like somebody else who went down a similar path and maybe they threw up on the asset store my fantastic hands that work with leap motion. Then that one I would just go and grab, and if it looked right, I'd just use it. That's my preferred thing. Or the other way it could go is there's some kind of documentation or tutorial about like how do you make a model that works with the leap motion, and I just kind of learn the fundamentals of that and figure out what the requirements are for a model to work with it, and adapt perhaps that other hand that I've already got so that it works with it, or another hand that's more suitable, that is easier to make work with it, something like that. So I'm going to try the first thing first. Always try the first thing first. That's my recommendation. If you try the second thing first, you're clearly out of order. So I'll just go first to Unity Asset Store. And I'll try leap motion just right away. Oh, here we go. Leap motion realistic hands. And there's other ones that are coming up. Alright, so this is where I get to do a fun thing. Go shopping. Go shopping for hands. What if that other package that I had works with it already? Anyways. So I'll bring up a tab of anything that looks promising. Cartoon hands. Realistic VR hands. That one looks good. I think I looked at that one earlier. Okay, there's just one page here. Since there's only one page, I'm even just going to open up every single thing on this page to just like go through them really quickly and see what might apply to me, what might be cool. I'm going to be a little bit open-minded to opportunities. I don't know why the Warrior Pack bundle. Oh, I know why. Because the words leap and motion are related to the animations that Warrior Pack has. Okay. So that one's probably not interesting. Okay, this one is very interesting. See, like these hands up here, they might be exactly what I want. Let's take a look. Sketchfab. Sketchfab is cool. I like Sketchfab. So visually, what do I think of these hands? I think they look great. Man, they look really good. They're inside of a kitchen. If I saw these hands floating at me within a kitchen, I would be afraid at first, but then I'd think, maybe they're nice hands, all 8 of them. Maybe they're friendly. Got a little bit of hair on them. That's cool. It's a nice texture. Cool. So what else do I want to know about them? I want to read some reviews. Works perfect. No issue importing into my game. This is version 1.1. Okay. Been looking for some. Since the realistic hands were taken away from the V2 plugin, I have major issues rigging their hands for the leap. These are absolute perfect, really easy to use with the leap. Already perfectly rigged for the. Oh, that sounds so great. That sounds almost exactly perfect. No, it does sound perfect. It sounds like just what I want. Just want some nice looking hands instead of the default skeleton model. Amen. Although the example does not work right away, using the leap motion checker to update the rig fixed everything. Okay, that sounds like a pain in the ass, but he also had the Oculus Rift DK2. No, that's fine. That's fine. So this one's a strong contender. Let's look at this other stuff. That's okay. So that's like depending on that version of the SDK, which apparently doesn't have Mac support. Gesture detection. My game doesn't need gesture detection, so close that one. Demo package. Oh. Okay. It's interesting, but not anything I need. Gesture and signature recognition for Oculus Rift. I'm not on Oculus Rift. HTC Vive, nope, don't need that. For Google Daydream, don't need that. Okay, it was silly to just open up all of these. Custom pointer. You can use into a pointer that can interact with the UI. Okay, cool. But I don't see anything I can do with that. Cartoon hands. So the style of hands isn't really matching what I want, and also I don't see anything about leap motion here. So this doesn't look like something that would be easy to just get going with leap motion. It's not close to what I need. And this is for a whole human character, which I don't need. Okay, it's a whole pack of hands. They have animations that come with them, but I don't need the animations. Doesn't say anything about leap motion here. So my feeling is it doesn't necessarily have rigging that works for that. There's no reviews. The models themselves look pretty cool. The texture doesn't look as realistic as the other one that I'm looking at, but my game isn't terribly realistic, and it relies upon shaders that stylize and put like comic book style lines around things, cell shaders. I don't know. So it looks like some nice models and more variety than the other one, but I don't see enough there that would support the leap motion integration to risk it. In fact, I didn't see anything. Okay. Doesn't solve my problem. Toby IX, that's something else. Re at panel Unity client. I don't know. VR hands. I feel like maybe the developer who put together these listings just added leap motion to the keywords, perhaps. So that one doesn't make me optimistic that they would easily work with leap motion. So really, I'm down to this one option that seems promising. It has an actual dependency on the core assets. 2.17.4, so a couple years ago. Let me go look at the publisher website. Well, it's not a great website. You've got the not secure thing. That's forgivable. But I don't know, even my junky website has got HTTPS. Okay, yeah, this kind of looks like, I won't be mean, but it sort of looks like one of those consulting companies that is made up of 1 to 5 people. And it has some smart people that are working on contracting gigs. And at some point, they throw a page up that has information about some capabilities that they have exercised on past projects. And that's okay. That's quite fine. They're in Russia. Welcome at 5vid.ru. And I don't know, it's probably a cool group of people. Or person. A group of person. If it's just one person. I remember when I had a consulting website and I made it all like we do this and we do that, because I just couldn't admit it was just one person. It just doesn't sound very strong to say I do this. Yeah, okay. So I'll take a small risk. I might waste $14.99. Add it to the cart. Oh, I better do this not on the live screen. Private information. I'm going to buy something right now. Proceed to checkout. And I'm kind of paranoid at my credit card info is showing up. Nope, it's not. It's definitely not. Okay. Buy it. I like shopping for assets on the Unity Asset Store. I have quite a few that I bought intending to use them and I didn't actually use them. I feel kind of silly about that. There's some I've never even opened it. I just bought them. It's like not a lot like that, like maybe 3 or 4. And I still might come back and use them. It's just like, whoa, this model is so cool. I really want that model. Okay, open the asset in Unity. All right. Let's open this asset. Let's download this asset. And after that, it's going to be even another button that pops up. So I paid for the asset. I open the asset. I download the asset. 4 buttons. They're not infringing on Amazon's one-click patent. They could open a 4-click patent, maybe. Oh man, these could be the new hands of God. Could make God black too. The thing is, I don't have any reason to make him black. So if I do make God black, it feels like I've got a point to it. And God in this game is a jerk. So it would be, and all the other people just look kind of it's abstract, like they don't even have a race. So to have like the God character be black, people are just gonna go like, what are you trying to say? And I wouldn't be trying to say anything. Like I might do like the Indian thing and make God's hands blue. So then there's no claim to the race of God if I just make his hands blue. But I thought that like to have the hands be slightly realistic was kind of good. Waiting for the import. While it's importing, I'll go back to the logo. But you can see, like, even though I had this other model that I used was initially pretty realistic, I put the shader on it, and this is actually what it looks like in the game. Very comic booky. And I'm pretty happy with that. I'm pretty happy with that look. So I'm probably going to try to take these top 2 hands and get them to look, I'm probably going to take these top two hands and get them to look like these hands, which is probably accomplished by just adding that shader back in with the same settings. And yeah, so I'm still waiting for the import to finish. I'm feeling good about my prospects here. I fully expect that there's going to be something else about this whole thing that's a pain in the ass, but so far everything's been going pretty swimmingly. And I have a great advantage in that I don't need to have leap motion support inside of my game. I only need to have it work to capture the recording file. And when I have the recording file of all the little points in the hands going different ways from the actor, when I have that available, I can simply use the playback code, which I've reviewed inside of the source code that was in the SDK, and I can see that there's not a lot of glue between that code and other things. I can see that I could probably make something that controls the hands without distributing the SDK within my app or anything like that. I don't need to have the input feeding in from the device while the playback is happening. I don't need the device while the playback is happening. I don't need to distribute the SDK with the game. I don't need to have anything related to the leap going on with the game. I just have to copy across the relevant code that reads those little recorded files and updates the hand controller from the frame data that's inside of those recorded files. And that feels like a not risky thing now that I've seen all the parts. The last thing that's kind of remaining that might be a little bit tricky is, I say the last thing, there's some other things, but like the current highest risk thing is this next part. Can I get a hand that looks like a real human hand to work with the leap? And even then that's not quite correct, because I only need it to work with recorded data. But if I see that hand can move around in response to the leap motion, that would mean to me that its rigging is compatible with leap data. So therefore I could assume that recording data with that other app, which doesn't need that hand model in there, I can use like this robot hand for that. The recording data with that app could be used with the new hands. So let's see if I can do that. Let's see if I can first off just find this. Okay, there's a scene here. Let's try hands one demo. Let's start with that. Okay. So these hands don't look that great, but I just want to see something working to start. Hit and play. Is it picking up any leap data at all? Is leap doing anything? I might have to read the readmes and instructions to get this going. So it's not. Oh. It's not initially doing anything at all. So I don't know if it's because it just has no input, or if it's failing in some other way. So let's unplay that. Now let's check the console real quick. So it's complaining about missing scripts. Let me just try it again. I'll clear that. Clear the console, and then I'll unplay. Is that the same messages? Yeah. Okay. Complain about missing scripts. So let's just see what else is here. Any docs? Any readmes? Probably all of these it's going to complain. It feels like these assets are already kind of messed up. So are you missing? Missing your texture? Oh, I clicked on the camera. I want the hand. Okay. So you're using this Autodesk interactive shader. You've got the hands material. I really should have put all this stuff in a separate project to fiddle with it. So it's not complaining about missing materials. I'm kind of curious about these materials though. Hands mat 01. Yeah, so there's two materials. Oh, this is like the black hands. Are they so black that they're all the way black? Here, I'll put the white hands on. The shader might be screwing it up, maybe. This Autodesk interactive. Let's do standard, see what happens. Did you put a light source in here? Is there a light source? Because that could be an issue. Let me just throw a light in there. This asset is not working out of the box. I'll say that. Now, I don't expect a lot of most assets I get from the store. It is a little bit buyer beware because many of these, the developer worked on it for 3 months and published it, and the economics of this, most people that publish assets in the store, they're not well-maintained products over time. If the developer didn't have a lot of success, he would have no incentive to keep on updating the package. So there's a lot of kind of promising work that is not economically supported, but still hangs around on the store even after it's a little bit broken as new versions of Unity come out or other things. So this may have never been tested on a version of Unity newer than 2 years ago, for example. Okay, so there is some light there. Now let's just make its range more, I guess. Oh. Make it more intense. I'm really not great with lighting and textures. I don't understand them that well, but that is an actual texture though. That's not just a mesh. That's kind of a cool texture. Anyways, I don't think this will work because the first one didn't work, but I'll hit play and see if it's got any hand tracking juice. Ah, but that hand does look cool. That one on the right, it really does look cool. I'll give it that. Okay, I'm waving my hands around the leap motion. And I don't see anything going on with that. It's alright. So, unplay. Okay. So at this point, I would like to know what I need to do to get the input hooked into it. You know, maybe that was not part of the deal with this. Maybe the idea is that these models are ready to be hooked up through some other code that's not present in this project. They didn't promise me a rose garden, so I'm not seeing anything in here that would connect to leap motion input, but that doesn't mean that there's necessarily anything wrong with the project. All the developer promised me was to deliver hand models that are compatible with it. So I should figure out maybe how to get these hand models linked to the hand controller, I want to say. Hand models, hand left, hand right, hand container. Okay, so I'll go back to the scenes. I'll just go through these scenes just real quick. No, don't save. All my stuff there's garbage. Different hand models. Different hand models. Different hand models. Oh wait, some of these say desktop and some say VR. So let's see, that's desktop, that's VR. Desktop, VR. Oh, the positioning of them is different. Desktop, VR. Okay. So there's the materials. I don't need the skybox. There's my different models. Prefabs. I could go to one of the Leap Motion provided scenes and try moving those hands into there. What's coming? It's 8 now, and I feel like I've made some pretty good progress for just a couple hours of messing around. This might be a good place to stop. Let me do one last thing before I stop the stream. So I'm going to bring in. Let's go to one of my regular levels. Open scene. Let's go to Alright. So here we go. The real game world. Now let's put the hands in the game world. And they're tiny. They're really tiny, but I can make them bigger. I got no problem making them bigger. Let's make them 10 times bigger. Yeah, it's got a weird offset. That's kind of annoying, but maybe it's necessary for some reason. Alright. But it's a beautiful hand. I like that hand a lot. Okay. And it's facing the wrong way for what I want. Also, let's just make it even bigger. Let's make it bigger. I can make it bigger. Okay, turn it around. God damn, that's a really horrible offset. I mean, I can deal with weird offsets, so I'm just being a little bit sloppy now, but it's not a difficult thing. Oh, I picked the wrong rotation. It's not a difficult thing to put it inside of a little game object that will adjust the offset. So if I do create empty, here. Now the way to do this is to I cancel. Okay. Get the game object and put the game object someplace reasonable. Put it by the hand. Put it just anywhere near the hand. Just someplace that sort of represents where you where did it okay. Yeah. Stupid offsets, stupid crazy offsets that are nowhere near where it should be. Okay, are you sort of in the right place? Oh, you know, I could have just done it like with a 0, 0, 0. Okay, you put the square somewhere close to where the actual physical thing is, and then you reparent the hand. Okay, and then it's got to fuck with me some more. But basically, like that. So then I can just move it around. It's not so bad. I still do have it not facing how I want. Let's try that 90. Going AD. So ridiculous. All right, good enough, whatever. So the scale of that is 100. Okay, whatever. This isn't even the real thing. I just want to see if I can make it look like my other God hand. Do examples. Default comic book. Really? Why would you? Oh, because the scale is so incredibly large that it is doing like a massive outline around everything. Okay. So if I go 0.01, now it's starting to look like something. Okay, point. It's still a little bit too much, so let's do 0.05. Okay, that's not bad. And then I've got it looking kinda comic booky. I still think I need to adjust that a little more. So the outline 0.05. Let's go down to 0.03 and it's workable. I could fiddle with it some more, but it's visually it's going to look like what I want. Like if I just had to take this right here, I wouldn't even complain about that. That would look okay with the game aesthetic. So that's pretty cool. In fact, you know what? Just for kicks, let's play the game with this big silly hand in the middle of things. I just want to see what that looks like. I think I'm doing too much on the outline, but the outline can be whatever I want it to be, so that's no big deal. Also, the outline is some color of gray, and I want it to be black. I don't know. It looks pretty good to me, though. Now imagine that hand being animated to gesture while the God character is talking, and the God character is making all kinds of points and while you're walking around, you can see those hands moving and gesturing, and I think it'll look good. I think it'll look really good. I've got this plan worked out for the positioning of the hands. Basically, the recording will play relative to something called a God stage. And the God stage will be always the same dimensions. I'll set it up inside of the editor. The God stage will be large enough to depict both of the hands in the range of motion that's allowed by the leap motion when recording. It'll probably be something like, say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares, and then going this way, maybe 10 squares, then going up another 6 to 8 squares. And the actor's recording will correspond to a positioning in the hand inside of that God stage. Okay, the God stage in the editor will be defined as in more than one place. So there can be multiple God stages. Like I might lay one out here. I would try to cheat a little bit and pick areas where I knew the player couldn't walk under, or in some way where it would look ugly. And basically the hands are going to move to the nearest, to the God stage that's been defined in the editor that's nearest to the player. Now the God stage isn't actually visible while playing, but it would be shown in the editor. So you define these little rectangular, or not rectangular, but what's the 3D rectangle? Those 3D rectangular area in a number of places where potentially the hands can be and have enough open space that they could go through the full range of motion. And these hands, there'll be a second one, be left and right hands, will go to wherever the God stage is that's closest to the player. So as you're walking around, the hands will just kind of smoothly go, be positioned into the right God stage. But that's going to be like a game object that's large enough to contain both of them. And I can just move that kind of like a single box. And the contents of that box will be relative to where that box containing the hands is. So I'll be moving like this box around, and the hands inside will still be making the same motions relative to where they are inside of that box. And the overall effect, I think, is the player, no matter where they're at, they'll be able to see the God hands. The God hands will do animations that are based on real life actor movements, and it'll look good. It'll look smooth and good, I think. All the pieces are coming together. I know what I'm going to do next, although I'm going to knock off now. And I'm excited to work on the next part. I kind of thought this was maybe something I would try to do in the weekends when I have more contiguous blocks of time, but since I made a fair amount of progress just with these 2 hours and change, I might keep going with these over the Monday through Thursday streams. So if you want to keep seeing this, come in 6 p.m. PST to Twitch, same channel, 6 p.m.ish, and I'll be wailing away on this. All right, see y'all later. Bye.